Talking season is over. Well, kinda. I mean, for Uncle Lou, I talk 365 days a year, but it's football time. Football kicks off tomorrow. Today's Friday. Week 0 is tomorrow, and I'm going to be live streaming all day long. 9 a.m., the college kickoff show. I do that every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Make sure you come hang out. We have a really good time on the Saturday morning shows during the season. Looking forward to all the day's games. So I'll see y'all tomorrow at 9 a.m. for that. Game streams tomorrow, 2:30, Notre Dame, Navy, live from Ireland. Uncle Lou will be live streaming right here on this channel for the Notre Dame Navy game at 2:30. Make sure you come hang out. And the Patreon stream will be tomorrow night prime time. Now, make sure you're getting signed up on the Patreon page. A lot of you sign up during the season and then unsubscribe in the off season. If you're one of those people, make sure you get signed back up. The Patreon streams start tomorrow. I do Patreon streams every single Saturday throughout the course of the season. We stream the biggest games of the week every week on the Patreon stream, and we have a really good time. Link in the description of the video. Make sure you're getting signed up on the Patreon. I've got ridiculous notes here for a ridiculous topic. Well, I don't know how ridiculous it is. I do a ton of predictions every offseason. I go team by team. I give you record predictions, and not just record predictions, but I tell you who I think a team's going to beat and who they're going to lose to. You got some people out here running around with the whole, well, if things go well, this team could go 11-1 or 12-0. Things go bad, they could go 7-5 or 8-4. But they'll probably go 9-3 or 10-2. What is that? Shout out to Josh Payton, but what is that? Give us a prediction, man. You running around doing predictions. That's a 6-game swing. You're pretty much telling us every team in the country could go 7-5, could go 12-0, but they'll probably go 9-3, 10-2, or 8-4. You like a 6 or 7 game swing, man. Come on. Melted bowl of vanilla ice cream. I love you, Josh, but can we get some real predictions? That's what I do. I tell you exactly what I think a team's record's going to be, and I tell you who I think they're going to lose to. So anyway, I've never done playoff predictions, though, or conference championship predictions, I don't believe, for that matter. But people just won't stop asking. Everybody else does them, and I get it. I guess it is fun to kind of think about who could get there. But the thing is, there's just always that one team that just comes out of nowhere. Has anybody ever gotten the 4-team playoff prediction exactly right in the preseason? Probably not. Come on. Nobody picked TCU last year. Nobody picked Cincinnati the year before. Nobody picked LSU in 2019. 2020 didn't count, by the way, COVID. That's why I skipped that. No one picked LSU in 2019. No one picked Georgia to make the playoffs heading into 2017. You always have somebody that comes out of nowhere, but based off of the record predictions that I made team by team over the course of the offseason, I'm going to give you my best bet on the 4-team playoffs. And first we'll do conference championship games. Who makes it to each conference championship game? Who I think's win those conference championship games, and then which 4 teams will be left standing for the playoffs. We'll start with the conferences that just aren't getting into the playoffs this year, according to Uncle Lou. Let's start with a ridiculous amount of notes, but let's start with the ACC. I think Clemson and Florida State are both going to be really good. In the interest of fairness, I think both of these teams are playoff caliber teams. I wouldn't be shocked if either of these 2 teams make the playoffs. I think Clemson and Florida State will play for the ACC title. They play each other in the regular season. I've got Clemson going 9-3 in the regular season with 2 ACC losses. One of their losses is a non-conference loss, so it won't affect their ability to make the ACC title game. Florida State, I've got at 11-1 with 0 conference losses. I've got LSU beating Florida State and South Carolina beating Clemson. So those are non-con losses. And I got Clemson losing a couple of ACC games, but still getting in to the ACC championship. I've got Florida State beating Clemson in the regular season. So again, no divisions in the ACC anymore, so it is possible to have a rematch, right? It's just the 2 best teams with 2 best records at the end of the regular season. I think that's going to be Clemson at 9-3 with 2 ACC losses, and Florida State at 11-1 with 0 ACC losses. Florida State having beat Clemson in the regular season, rematch in Charlotte for the ACC title game. And I think Clemson wins the rematch. And unfortunately for the ACC, that's going to knock them out of the playoffs. That's going to give Florida State their 2nd loss, one at the beginning of the year to LSU, one at the end of the year to Clemson in the ACC title game. Clemson will be your ACC champs at 10-3. Florida State will be ACC runner-ups at 11-2. Neither will make the playoffs. We've never seen a 2-loss team get in the playoffs. I don't think it's going to happen this year either. I think both Clemson and Florida State probably make a New Year's 6 game, but unfortunately, as far as my prediction goes, that's the ceiling for any ACC team. All right, let's jump down to the Big 12. Big 12, I've got Texas Tech going 9-3 with 2 conference losses. Their third loss is a non-conference loss to Oregon. Texas Tech hosts Oregon in week 2, I believe it is. And I'm very high on Oregon. Foreshadowing here to the Pac-12 part of this video. But I'm very high on Oregon. Bo Nix returns. A ton of talent returns. Dan Lanning, year 2, should be a big step forward there on both sides of the ball. I think they beat Texas Tech for their first loss of the year. And then I think Texas Tech loses 2 conference games in the Big 12. Still good enough to get them into the Big 12 title game, though, where they will be facing off against 11-1 Texas, whose only loss of the season will be on the road late in the year at Iowa State. Why? Well, because you can't win at Iowa State. Remember that guy that used to do YouTube called RJ Young? Me too, but barely. Yeah, he told me a long time ago, you just can't win a game at Iowa State. I believe him. Texas goes 11-1 with a loss at Iowa State, giving us a Big 12 title game of the Texas Longhorns against the Texas Tech Red Raiders, who I believe play in the last week of the regular season. So this would be a back-to-back, 2 games in back-to-back weeks. Some other teams that could make some noise in the Big 12, Kansas State, TCU, of course, Oklahoma. I've got Oklahoma at 9-3 with, I think, 3 conference losses. Baylor's kind of a wild card. I don't think they're quite good enough to get there. Kansas State, to me, is the team that could upset the apple cart here. Kansas State could 100% wind up in the Big 12 title game. So no slight to them. In the ACC, by the way, if it's anybody other than Clemson or Florida State, then somebody's going to tell me who it's going to be. To me, there's such a huge gap in the ACC right now. Clemson, Florida State, and then everybody else. I'd be absolutely shocked if anybody made the ACC title game other than those 2. Big 12, there's 3 or 4 teams I think could get in, but I'm going to go with Texas at 11-1 versus Texas Tech at 9-3, and the winner of the Big 12 title game will be the Texas Longhorns. 12-1, Big 12 champions, first time winning the Big 12 since 2009. And their first ever trip to the college football playoffs. My first team into the playoffs in 2023, the Texas Longhorns. The comment section is right down there, by the way. I can't wait to see. Okay, speaking of the Pac-12, let's go ahead. Southern Cal. I've got Southern Cal going 11-1 in the regular season with a loss to Oregon. On the road in Eugene. One of the toughest environments, toughest places to play in the entire Pac-12. And like I just told you, I think Oregon's going to be a legitimate Pac-12 title contender and playoff contender in 2023. I'm buying Oregon. I've got Oregon going 10-2 with losses on the road at Washington and on the road at Utah. I've got Washington and Utah each losing 3 games. That's why they're not making the Pac-12 title game. The Pac-12 might be the most difficult conference to handicap this offseason. I think there are 4, maybe even 5 teams that have a legitimate shot of winning the Pac-12. My worry, and I admit I've got a Pac-12 team going to the playoffs. I'm going to tell you who it is in a second. But I worry that we're going to run into a situation in the Pac-12 just like last year, where you've got several 1- and 2-loss teams, and in the Pac-12 title game, a 2-loss team or a 3-loss team knocks off the 1-loss team, eliminating the Pac-12 from the playoffs. It could very well happen. I've got Oregon at 10-2 in a rematch with Southern Cal, 11-1. For the Pac-12 title game. Oregon, having beaten Southern Cal in the regular season, loses in the rematch to Southern Cal. So in both the ACC and the Pac-12, I've got rematches in the title game, and I've got the loser of the regular season game winning the rematch in the conference championship game. Southern Cal, Caleb Williams and company, defense plays just good enough to get them into the playoffs at 12-1 with a Pac-12 championship. Will the defense be good enough for them to win a playoff game under Lincoln Riley? We've never seen it before. There's a first time for everything. I don't know. We'll see. One last note on the ACC. I think Clemson is going to get better and better as the season goes along. A brand new quarterback, some new pieces on defense, a new offensive coordinator. I think they're going to get better and better. They play Florida State early in the year. I like Florida State's veteran team to get the win over Clemson early in the year, but Clemson to sort of pick up steam at the end of the season and knock them back off. So there you go. ACC eliminated 2-loss conference champion Clemson. Actually, 3-loss conference champion Clemson, 2 conference losses. Pac-12 into the playoffs. Southern Cal 12-1, Pac-12 title. Texas into the playoffs 12-1, Big 12 title. Big Ten. I've got Penn State at 11-1 with a loss to Michigan. I've got Ohio State 10-2 with losses to Penn State and Michigan, and I've got Michigan at 11-1 with a loss to Maryland. Therefore, via tiebreaker, since Maryland beats Penn State, they both have the same record, 11-1. Michigan gets in to the Big Ten title game against a 10-2 Wisconsin, and Michigan beats them. Michigan wins the Big Ten at 12-1. Big Ten champion. Penn State, the 11-1 team, in the same situation that Ohio State found themselves in last year, trying to get in at 11-1 without winning their division. Unfortunately for Penn State, I don't think it happens because we still got the ACC to go, or the SEC to go. So 3 of the playoff teams: Michigan, Texas, Southern Cal. SEC, I've got Georgia at 12-0. I've got LSU at 11-1. LSU's loss on the road at Ole Miss. I've got Bama at 9-3. 2 SEC losses, one being to LSU. I don't think they get in. I think it's LSU and Georgia rematch in the SEC title game. Georgia 12-0, LSU 11-1. I think Georgia beats them again. Georgia wins the SEC 13-0, gets into the playoffs. So there's your playoff teams. You can seed them any way you want. Georgia, Southern Cal, Texas, and Michigan. Have a great day!